Thank you, Bobby. And first
Hi,
off,
Bobby.
thank
Sorry.
you, Bobby, for everything, because I would send Bobby a little, hey, can I get this? Or hey, how about that? So thank you so much, Bobby. And so approval of the December 2022 minutes, they're fine. Okay, the minutes are approved. Setting a future date, I guess, well, we could come up with some alternatives and then I can send them around and then we can make sure that Parker can attend. And I just have to say, I know one year we went down or up to the hill for the day of the swearing in. And it's really an amazing thing if you get to do that sometime. Anyway, I had written down possibilities, February 1st in the afternoon, February 2nd, oh, I'm sorry, I'm doing them in back order. January 31st, February 1st, or February 2nd. And how did those look to you two? And then I can see how they are for Parker.
I can't do February 2nd, but I
Okay.
could do anytime on the 31st or the afternoon of the 1st. And Sujatha, I'm sorry, I think I cut you off, but you're also muted.
Apologies.
And you are on February 1st PM only, right?
Yes.
Okay, that's good for me too.
I can do February 1st PM.
And how about the January 31st?
January 31st, I can also do PM.
PM on, okay, so. Okay, so let me see if I got this right. February 2nd is out, right? Jessica can't do that. Then we have January 31st PM and February 1st PM for for you guys. Okay, so I'll send that out and see if how Parker is on that. That's good. And then we move on to the next item was the intellectual freedom, censorship, and LBOT bylaws. And I did a little bit on that, but Sujatha hit it out of the park. So Sujatha, would you like to give your report on that? I have your email in front of me.
I have these pages open. Hold on a second. So yeah, so like I was saying, clearly it's policy G and policy S that are the best places for them. And I think I put in my email, which I didn't. I should have signed in and I didn't sign in. Anyway, I will sign in after I just sort of say this stuff real quick. But those words that significance, we should think about that. I think that people might make an issue. I mean, whatever. And especially number 3, changing social values. So it does say that changing social values, I think, is kind of we would have to explain what do we mean by that, or change the wording or something. I think it's kind of asking for people to attack that particular set of words. And number 5, I really like the way that it's just like, that's really nice. And I feel like in the ALA stuff that Fran had, the addenda that Fran highlighted in a prior email, that it's the ALA says things fairly boldly like that. And I really liked when Brian, at the meeting when we talked about genderqueer, the book Genderqueer, that he basically just said, look, we follow the ALA guidelines. The ALA guidelines say this, so we're not going to be going counter to that. I think they say them better than we would be able to restate them. And they're really, I think they're very clear, you know what I mean? They're very clear and they really show what we stand for. Now, I think that this policy G, is this policy G that I'm on? Yeah, policy G also says it very clearly. They're just these few little things that we might tighten up perhaps to just make it less controversial, potentially controversial. And that's all, So I don't think that there was more than what I put in that email, which I don't have open, but I'll open it when we start discussing.
So I haven't had a chance to really read through your email yet, but my thought was that do we just need to make a stronger or I guess
clearer, maybe not even stronger, just clearer what that means. I'm sorry.
And our support of the ALA philosophies. Now, I know there are some members of the board who think that ALA is a left-wing organization.
Oh, I
But
see.
I don't think-
I
I
didn't
don't think-
realize that that was something people. had.
No, it's really interesting when people say that to me. I'm like, oh, huh, well, okay. Well, yeah, okay, well, no, sorry. So a matter of protocol or whatever to Jessica. So it seems to me we should refer this to that committee rather, because we want to keep focused on, you know, outreach stuff.
Absolutely. So you have a couple of pieces in here in the conversation that you two were having previously, just to make sure that it's, you know, public and for everyone to participate in. So the first was the review of the bylaws. And as was noted, most of those are just links to different American Library Association documents, although there was one that one of you said doesn't link to anything. So staff will go back and
Yeah, that's to the
modify
code.
that to the correct link
The
for you.
code, yeah,
You're talking about the one with the list,
to the code.
Yes, yeah, to the LIS space. So we'll get that cleared up. But those ones, you're right, those are just external documents.
Yeah.
So if there was no place in the bylaws that the board controls that you all were looking at modifying, that one can be set aside. And if you want to recommend that policies S and policies G, which are both related to collection developments, be updated to either be more clear or to have less language in it that's easy for people to misconstrue or to pull onto as something that they're unhappy about, then that should definitely be pinged to the chair, to Brian, to see if he would like them to be picked up by the ad hoc policy committee, which I believe is still chaired by Gary.
Mhm.
Because it used to be Sheila, and then Sheila left the board, and I think Gary is the only remaining committee member of that group. So Brian would need to appoint more people to that group as well.
So what are your thoughts on that, Fran?
Yeah, I think that's what we should do.
Yep.
Don't you?
Like I said, when I first brought this up, however long ago that was, I just think that while we have a sort of collegiality or a collegial agreement regarding what we all stand for, what most of us stand for, it might be nice if the policy is a little bit more ironclad in that way, you know.
Well, you all also have a really good opportunity right now, in addition to the review that the fan group is doing, and then potentially recommending that those policies be more clearly stated. You just approved a new strategic plan, which talks about intellectual freedom, the development of our collection, and the need to ensure that the materials that we have are structured for our entire community. So
Yeah.
I think you're in a good place to recommend that. And after you have already approved the strategic plan that says those things,
Mhm.
it may be harder if you do have colleagues that are worried about the ALA statements that are on there, just to ensure that your own policy language is in alignment with your plan.
That's nice. That's a nice way. Yeah, that makes
That's a really important point. I think for supporting what's expressed in the strategic plan. So
And the strategic planning group is meeting tomorrow to finalize any minor non-substantive edits. So that should be.
And I will not be at that meeting because I will be traveling, but yes. So your recommendation would be to wait until that's approved and then we can just like, no, not necessarily.
No. I mean, they're so close. I was just gonna suggest that if either of you were able to attend tomorrow's meeting, just to mention that, you know, the work that's being done on that document will help support recommendations that might be coming forward at the January board meeting.
Excellent. Which I also will be missing.
We will take excellent notes for you and we will airmail them to you in your vacation destination.
Thank you.
So then the next steps is that for me as a chair, or
I would recommend that you email Brian to let him know that this committee would like to recommend a policy update to policies G and S.
Okay.
And that you would like to officially hand that over to the ad hoc policy committee, which Brian may need to appoint additional members to at the January board meeting.
okay. And it's to align with the strategic plan and to strengthen. Would it be to strengthen our commitment or?
Well, the language that you all potentially are recommending to be modified in those is to both be more clear about some of the phrases in there that could be taken in different ways, like Sujatha mentioned, the significance of changing societal values. That could certainly be a buzzy phrase that some folks might be less than comfortable with. So it's both to align more with the new plan that was approved and to ensure that your actual policies conform with the type of actions you want to take around the collection.
It is, I think, to protect the spirit of the policy and not to give language that might give rise to conflicts and attacks that are contrary to the spirit of the policy, or even to One Fairfax. So really, it's that there may be language that would, if it were to be challenged along those lines, would end up having a challenge that's contrary to both One Fairfax and to the policy of the Fairfax County Board of Library Board.
Agreed.
Okay, so so what I've jotted down to update to review GNS for possible updates to align with the current strategic plan, to strengthen, update, clarify language that might be open to interpretation, that and to protect the spirit of the ALA policies.
I wouldn't say open to interpretation.
Yeah, I couldn't think of the word that's it's not confused, the language that might be, it's
Conflated?
it's vague, but there's another word that I wanted, like,
It might be easily.
it's just right here, but it won't come to me. I have this word that I want that won't.
It will come to you for sure.
It's horrible to be 76 years old.
Right,
Okay,
you know, it started happening to me like 5 years ago that I'm just like, what happened to my immediate
is that
recall of every
word? It
single
might
word?
be. Okay, well, it'll come, and blurt it out if you get it, you blurt it.
Just
until-
Mad Lib it for now. So underline the space and then
Yeah,
write
yeah.
adjective underneath it and then fill it in later.
Okay, so that's on my to-do list. Okay,
I think that there might like challenges along those lines of those specific phrases, challenges from those phrases would undermine the spirit of the policy and of One Fairfax. So if they were challenges along those lines, you know, it's really only about the challenges, because you can interpret anything any old way, but if you're challenging well, what do you mean by social values, and you're using that as sort of like, if it's weaponized in such a way that were contrary to the policy, then it would undermine the policy and it would undermine the spirit of the policy, rather. Which I'm assuming is not the word, but still is just something I think is helpful to keep in mind. You don't want to be doing anything, want to have anything in your language that undermines the spirit of your policy accidentally or inadvertently, you know what I mean? Because you weren't thinking about people challenging along.
well, the changing the definition of social values or whatever that is, varies among the different.
Merit and significance, like merit and significance changes, but there is a clear spirit, both in the ALA statements and in our statements. There's a clear spirit, and in our policy, there's a spirit we are trying to evoke in our libraries for our community and for everyone in our community. And as people have different ideas about what is meritful and what has significance and social value and whatever else, but definitely issues of changing social values, consideration shall be given to changing social values. That is a real buzz for a lot of people, because they believe that social values should not change, that the original ones were the best ones. So, anyway.
So for me, it's that email a request to Brian to stand up an ad hoc committee. I guess to see if Gary wants to continue or.
Yeah, and I mean, you could certainly leave it open-ended on that to whatever Brian would like to do. I don't know that he ever officially disbanded the prior ad hoc committee. So it might just be asking the one person who is still participating to continue on.
So it's to reawaken.
There you go. Awaken that committee. Give it a jolt of caffeine.
Okay, all right, I think I've got it. I may run my email by you, both of you. Well, you'll be away.
I'm here. I'll take a look.
Jessica, yeah.
Yep.
Okay, great. That's good. Thank you.
Mhm.
And then talking points, refinement, and then I have, at the in with that, I want to talk about, but after we do that, friends involvement and first and next steps to implement. So, let's see, where is, so on the talking points, and I have the email from Parker. Oh, where is it? Did everybody else get that
Yeah, I saw that.
from Parker?
Yes.
Oh, okay, so good. I can't put my hands right on mine. He had a suggestion. He had some good suggestions.
I'm looking for it. What date
Parker's
was that?
Parker's email came yesterday at about 11:30.
Thank you.
So his points seemed to be that the library hours piece needed a little bit of extra
that was-
clarification
Yeah,
around funding, and that how much more funding would be needed for that.
okay, so when we get there, so shall we just start at the beginning and see if
Absolutely.
the changes,
Fran, would you like me to share my screen so that it is viewable for you both?
that would be great.
You got it.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Is the font large enough?
Yes, for me.
Fran, good for you too?
Sorry.
Is the font good for you?
Oh, yeah.
Did we lose Fran?
Sorry, I dropped my pen.
Oh. I looked over at my other screen and went back. It was just the lovely library, but no. Fran.
And I'm gonna put my headphones on because so while I'm doing that, please chime in with anything.
Sure. Well, I'll go ahead and start just while you get that set up. I was not able to review this earlier because I was off and I just came back today, but I really like how you took Parker's phrasing, that this was all about like making it conversational and making it easy to pull bullet points so that it's, did you know about these things? Could you help talk about these things, so that people could pick and choose the parts that they want to advocate around that maybe ring the truest for them. I thought that was nice.
Good, yeah. I tried to do that. Oh, somebody is in my room once, what?
There's a big truck, quality tree truck out in
Oh,
front.
they didn't, I didn't know they were coming today.
I don't know if it's for us or not, but we'll see.
Okay.
Hi,
Oh,
Bill.
the quality, the quality tree people are here when I did not hear from them that they rescheduled from when it was so cold, so. Oh, well, the trees are marked. Okay, so you like this, the format, and I just sort of thought if I were talking to somebody, what would I say? A thing that I guess I would like to put in there is something sort of more socially responsible than, hi, I'm an upper middle class person who wants the books available for my book group. And it's sort of in a homework, but where did I see the referral of a term for the library called the People's Palace?
Yeah, it was in a book. It's
Yeah,
It's a book that, I
yeah.
think it's called that, right? The People's Palace.
Palace for the people.
Palace for the people, and I'm thinking, well, have I included a broad spectrum of users? And I don't know. No, I haven't. I haven't talked about lower income people or lower resourced people. So I don't know if that needs to be in there. See, because I want to borrow when I want to read them. I want materials for homework. Because do kids still go to the library for homework?
Yes.
And borrow ebooks and audiobooks when you want to read them, not have to wait weeks or months. And those are all great.
The problem is for us to just not the problem is the thing to consider when we try to include viewpoints of people who are like the people who need the library the most, say, is that they're not the ones they are not the ones that are doing the advocacy for themselves or for the libraries, right?
Right.
Other people doing the advocacy, and really either they're doing it on behalf of these populations or they're doing it for themselves, right? So one
Right.
might say that like, you know, various people have various ways that they came to even the Board of Trustees, right? So how did you get there? One could say that I came here because of advocating for that group, and you know, that's some sort of like, that is the case, you know, definitely. But even when so when I advocate, because I advocate from that lens, and as opposed to from the lens of my extremely privileged life that I live, you know, it may come across like that, but very often then it comes across as lecturing. And so we have to be, you know, like if we were to say, like, for example, comes top of mind that a well-educated population that is highly literate is a safer population for us all,
Yeah.
is a more thriving, economically thriving population, is a population that is much more likely to be able to invest in itself and enrich us all. That is the case, right? So if you have a thriving library system and a thriving public school system, you are absolutely certain to have a much, much more safe, thriving community, right? So if we say
Right.
something
Right.
like that, which we could say something like that, but does it sound lectury? Does it sound like I don't know. I don't know, how does it sound to the people who would actually be doing the advocating? I don't know. I'm just asking, I'm throwing it out there. I don't know how it would, how it comes across when other people are the ones saying it. You know what I mean? When, I don't know if you understand what I'm saying.
Oh, I do. I do. Yeah, that's what you know, had a block of how to put that in there, and the whole thing of like, you know, we do more than buy books that we do more than buy popular materials. And I think in some of the narrative, it has said, you know, our nonfiction collections can become dated because we don't have the money to buy the new books, because we don't have enough money. You know, we're trying to balance satisfying the people who demand, rightly so, books to read, which are more popular materials. And what suffers may be the fact that we can't buy the latest book on the study of flattened turtle shells in dating archaeological sites. You know, I mean, I just saw that article in the paper, but that's, you know, so I don't know this. I agree with you, because then if I start to say that, then that sounds like, oh, here's little Miss MLS talking about collection development, and you know, that's not that. It's too wonky almost, but I like I like that. I like that very much. You're good at boiling things down. That's good.
Yeah, Sujatha, I like that too. I'm not sure if it makes sense to put some kind of language like here under the ask your supervisor to do this because this is why it's good, or if it should go up here under why should you advocate?
That's why where I think
Yeah.
Yeah.
you should go at the top, and yeah, and then maybe it, I mean,
Oh,
it's just like,
yeah.
fundamentally, this is the
Yeah.
issue, right? That
As
when
an
we have a
umbrella.
well-funded
Yeah.
library system support educated communities, and educated communities are
Perfect.
healthier, safer, and more thriving, you know?
That's perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, because I know a friend of mine last year, when I asked her to write something about, well, I think it was a bill that was before the Senate, she put something like that in on her own, like, you know, a library is an incredibly important part of a community. But so that, I love that. Yeah.
I think that thriving needs to be with communities, not with libraries. Hold on, let me just
Yeah. Well-funded libraries support.
let me pull up a note. I can't dictate as much as I can write something down. Hold on a second.
Or support.
I mean, obviously this can be workshopped
Yeah.
a
Yeah,
little further on. I
yeah.
just want to try and catch all
Yeah.
the key phrases that you all were using.
The good thing about this with me is that I say this like all day long in many different ways. So I can always pull it up on a dime.
Nice.
Yeah, so let me just, you can just leave it and keep going. But yeah, I think that putting it up there and keeping it sort of like, this is the reason that the rest of this is important.
Yeah,
trying to make
yeah.
sure we have well-funded libraries.
Yeah,
Makes it easier for, you know.
Yeah.
the
That's the
middle
why.
class, upper middle
Right.
class, mostly white women to go to their supervisors who are also upper class, mostly white men, and make this argument when they themselves may be buying their books from wherever and don't really need the libraries nearly as much as some of the others in our community.
yeah. And it's
But-
sort of like the whole one Fairfax concept
Absolutely.
without saying that, you
Yeah.
know.
And like I mean, you heard me say at the last board meeting, unfortunately, the truth is that One Fairfax, though it is aspirational and it is supposed to be the framework that drives all of our work, or rather contains all of our work and our mission, the advocacy community has seen time and time again that is not something that's not real. It's not real. It's mostly, it seems to be window dressing, which is very unfortunate and very frustrating for people who do this kind of advocacy work. But the libraries really are palaces of the people, and everybody can get behind them. So it's a wonderful, like, sort of avenue in. It's like going around the backside when it's every back end, going in the back door when everybody believes in it. So you might as well be going in the front door, but it's making this argument through the back door so as not to be difficult for some people to swallow.
Right. So those are our three. And I just put that to ensure that books are not banned from the public library. And that's a little blunt. I don't know if some different wording would be better there. What do you think?
Maybe positively.
Yeah, something in a positive way, to ensure that all points of view.
Maybe, yeah, maybe to ensure that our collections continue to represent, to make sure that our library collection continues to represent the full spectrum of our community, or like the full, I don't know, something about ideas. Full spectrum of our ideas and our whole community, or something like that.
I suggest we specifically say books and collections, because for people
okay.
that are maybe new to the library world,
Yeah,
that might not be as clear. Yeah, I like the
Yep.
positive aspect of it too. It's
Yeah.
inviting people to engage around it instead of like making them like, well, what if I don't like it?
Yeah. What
Yeah,
do we say, a
yeah,
full spectrum of
yeah.
ideas
yeah,
and in our whole community, or something like that.
How about
oh,
that?
yeah, it's good.
Spectrum is very triggering for some people, the
Yeah.
word spectrum. But if you say spectrum of ideas, it's not triggering, because it's a spectrum of ideas and our whole community means everything, right? So
There
yeah.
are lots of options that
lots of
the
options.
word is willing to give us. It could be the range, the scale, the scope. I like spectrum. We were speaking a little earlier about a TV show that we were all watching, and
Yes.
I think there are a lot of positive connotations around that word as well.
What I'm saying is, instead of people, if we say spectrum of ideas and then something else to represent people. Full spectrum of ideas and blah, blah, blah community. Our whole community, everyone. in our community.
Mhm.
I'm not sure I like ideas.
Well, hi, Suzanne.
Sorry, I was on the phone with Phyllis Salak for a half an hour.
Was everything well? I don't know who that is, but
Oh, yeah. I have a friend's board meeting this afternoon, and our gate is there, Jessica,
Excellent.
but it's not clear.
How about community members?
Yeah, but then ideas didn't
Yeah.
stand.
No, leave
why
ideas.
do you like ideas, Suzanne?
Yeah,
You know
ideas,
what
but then,
Spencer said.
and community members,
I'm thinking more, I don't know.
or members of the
Something
community.
broader than ideas, like the thoughts, the perspectives of the community.
Mm. I think that might be too specific. I don't know.
Well, yeah, and with spectrum and perspective, that's,
Okay, so those two words could be finessed a little bit
Okay.
more,
I
both the
think, yeah,
ideas and the people part of it, but
Yeah.
that general implication that we want the books in the
Maybe a
library.
full spectrum of ideas, viewpoints, we could like, instead of,
Viewpoints,
viewpoints.
because ideas is an individual, not so much a community doesn't. You see what I'm getting
Yes.
at?
Yeah.
I think viewpoints is better. That's more comfortable for me.
Oh,
Okay.
how about this? How about this? To ensure that our books and collections continue to represent the full spectrum of viewpoints of our large and diverse community.
I like that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Put a pin in that. So let's just see if we like that, if we continue to like that.
Yeah, I don't think people needs to be there.
People
Mm,
have
yeah,
been reviewed.
I hear you. Yeah.
okay, good. So then on the collection funding, did you know I added this about,
There's
I
a
felt,
space right there before I lose it. It's,
oh, okay.
bullet point the.
I added what percentage of the county budget? And I don't know if we want to, of the county budget of X amount, we get 30. I don't know if we needed to say, you know, how huge the county budget. I mean, if you see it's 0.6% is 32 million. 32 million sounds like a lot of money.
You could leave out the 32 million and keep the 0.6%, but I would put a 0 before the point. Yeah.
Yeah, that's, yeah, that's good, yeah.
And you could change roughly to only.
Only about. Cause it's,
The library budget
it's
is,
like we get 32 and, Parks gets 30, and that's like 1.2. Is that right? If I made a,
It is, but the library's budget is also extended slightly because all of the benefits come from a different county budget. So I don't know
oh,
that makes sense to include in this type of advocacy talking points as like a starter to a conversation. But just so that it's, you know, out there for this group as well, the library gets about an additional $10-ish million to cover benefits, retirement, all those other pieces that go along in a different county agency budget.
I can
Hmm.
guarantee you that most people, when they're thinking about the library budget, are really not even thinking about the human resources. Most
No.
people are thinking about the buildings and the books.
Actually,
Not even. other-
well, and what I'm wondering is like, if I were talking to someone, I said, you know, the library only gets like 0.6% of the county budget. Would someone say, well, how much is the whole county budget? I don't
Oh,
know.
really, you
8
think?
billion,
8 billion. huh?
around maybe 8.5. Sorry.
It looks like much less if you mention 8 billion. Doesn't it?
We could say it that way. Instead of say at around 32 million, you could say the library budget is only about 0.6% of the 8 billion county. budget.
Yeah, I think that could be very dramatic. It's very
That's
dramatic.
pretty dramatic.
Yeah. Yeah, or of, instead of which
Of
is, just
the.
of, yeah, I'll make it
So
shorter.
the library budget is only about 0.6% of the 8
8
billion
billion,
county budget. Yeah, whatever.
yeah. County budget, yeah. Perfect.
Yeah.
You could say approximately whatever.
Yeah.
Then you
But
don't
that-
see a big number like 32 million and say,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then when I said 20% of a public library's budget is a recommended amount for purchasing books, ebooks. I just wondered if that needed to be, well, who recommended that? If we need, or another way of expressing that, or is
I
a,
think that the 2 bullet points, number 2 and number 3, need to be conjoined
yeah, I agree.
with a semicolon almost. So it's all the same thought. Because really the issue, the point of showing the 11 to 14% is to show that we're underfunded. So it's and why, you know. And maybe even but. So 20% of the libraries of the Fairfax, I'm sorry, 20% of the public library's
Okay.
budget is recommended.
recommended.
Is recommended. So take the out, is recommended for,
Yeah, that's better, tighten that up.
is for purchasing books, ebooks, movies, audiobooks, databases, etc. But Yeah, so maybe without a semicolon, and so but for the past several years.
Then
That
you need
makes it very clear.
I think you need a comma then, yeah,
Yeah,
period, comma.
the period comma. Oh, yeah.
I
period.
Yeah, et cetera, is
Yeah.
still,
Sorry,
a
sorry.
abbreviation, yeah. Past
Um,
several years, I've hovered
I don't
between
even
11.
think you need but, Fran.
I'm the one who said but. Poor Fran.
Yeah,
is like,
better than
leave
a
me out of it. I didn't say but. I think the but though makes it really.
Yeah, I think you do.
Okay,
Everybody needs a but.
But the word but as a conjoiner is kind of a stop for some people. They
Yeah.
hear that and they go, "Oh, okay, it's gonna be negative after
Yeah,
this. It's like
exactly.
saying yes and.
Yes.
Yeah,
Extremely important, I think, for people to feel the full brunt of how underfunded we are.
because otherwise
But-
you could say, while 20% of a public library's budget is recommended, blah, 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 for the past several years, FCPLs has hovered between blah, blah, blah.
Right.
I like
And
that.
that would take the but out.
Yeah.
Or you start with, for the past several years, our budget has hovered between 11%, while 20%, because sometimes are they gonna read the whole thing? And maybe we should stress, okay, we're 0.6% and our book budget, well, let's see.
I think it's good to see the two figures at each end of the sentence.
I know, I'm like, which should be first? Should it be, here's what we get and here's what's recommended?
No, I like it the way it is
Mm-hmm.
personally.
I agree with Suzanne. I think
Okay.
that starting off with the higher number and ending with the lower number makes a stronger
Looks-
impact.
And
That's
it looks good, yeah.
And the numbers jump out at you, even if you skip over the words.
And we could bold them too. No. Anyway, okay, so we're good with that?
Oh, you're bolding them.
I follow direction. I am making it happen.
Okay.
We just don't want to get too many different, too many different
Yeah.
fonts and colors and all that stuff. But anyway, okay, so and I hate splitting an infinitive, but here it is. To fully fund the collection would require an increase of more than $3 million. Which now, after you see billion, it's like, wow, what's a paltry 3 million? Come on, cough it up.
That's exactly why you put it in there.
Yeah. Or of only $3 million.
I mean, when you think about it, and if you frame it and always couch it in what the return on investment is in terms of your
Yeah.
increased safety, increased thriving community, increased economic security of your community, then that $3 million investment is nothing. It's
Yeah.
always the way we should be thinking about anything like education, right? If we fully funded our schools, think about on the back end how much less we would pay in every other anything as
Right.
a society. But
Right.
we don't tend to think about it that way for lots of nefarious reasons. So, I think that if we were to make both of those points when we talk to our friends who are going to be doing this advocacy, and we sort of talk up that connection, makes it harder to say no. It is a paltry $3 million, all things considered,
Yeah. Okay, so ask your supervisor to increase the library's budget so you can borrow the books you want to read when you want to read them. Buy materials for homework assignments when you need them rather than it, if we're going to do materials. Borrow ebooks and e-audiobooks when you want to read them and not have to wait weeks or months. And exclamation points can be kind of juvenile looking, so maybe that should be out. I use exclamation points way too much when I'm writing email. I shout at people, I guess. So how do you feel about the exclamation point? Yeah, I want to read it now.
I think we should take the exclamation point out because
Yeah,
not because of the excitement thing, but because this is a document that they would be working with to have all the information there so that they can say they don't need the exclamation point. The
perfect.
exclamation point.
That's
will
I
good.
agree. I agree.
Okay, so is that okay like that, or any changes or additions, et cetera, et cetera?
I think that your first and your third bullet are too similar. I would
Oh,
recommend
okay.
moving the third bullet to be the first one. And then adding a third bullet that talks about the breadth of a collection when you have enough.
Oh, I love
points.
that. Yeah.
So I would take
So
this
you
one.
should be books, ebooks and Shouldn't we also, oh, then by breadth of the collection, then we address the books issue.
Exactly. Yeah. So
Okay.
if you start off with your strongest point, which is
Yeah.
you don't want to wait forever to get a book.
Right,
And then you also talk about making sure that you have materials available for students. And then
right.
you
And
end
then,
with something around having enough money to ensure that you have up-to-date, accurate information available for everyone. That feels like it progresses from the thing that the most people are going to connect with to the one that maybe less people will.
so would that also be then this increase, so you can, and then it would also be find up to date and accurate materials on a broad we don't want to say spectrum again. On. Yeah, perfect.
Something like that. So that there is some kind of points to your statement earlier, Fran, that when we underfund our collection, not only are we creating longer wait times for people, but we can't guarantee that the material you're going to find in all of our nonfiction collections is the most timely, is the most up to date, and
Right.
is in topics that everyone is looking for.
Right.
So that's my suggestion. I
Okay.
mean, obviously, the words can be fixed around. That's
Sujata, Suzanne, any other thoughts? You good?
I think so.
I
Okay,
feel like there may be something like all of this, and because the thing at the top says, ask your supervisor to increase the library's budget so you can do this stuff. But maybe we need to ask our supervisors to increase the library's budget for more than this. I mean, considering the larger import of the libraries. I don't know if you want to, I'm just thinking it could be like the things from the top, we could reiterate here in another way, if that makes sense. Like we are actually asking the people to ask their supervisors to increase the library, increase library funding so that we have a well-funded library. You know what I mean? So we have a
right,
library, and the well-funded library does all of this great stuff. The well-funded library is like a cornerstone of an educated, thriving community.
and I think that would be, correct me if I'm wrong, that would be included in the third point of
It's imputed, but
the intellectual freedom part. That's what I'm saying. Well, I don't think I wrote anything on that because we were waiting on that, but I think that might
number 3 seems to belong only there at the top, right? That's something that we're trying to do. We're trying to ensure that we have all of the stuff, we can fund all of the stuff. But at the where you just said, ask your supervisor to increase funding so that you can, right? You can be part of ensuring that we have a well-funded library system that acts as a cornerstone of an educated community or something. I don't know if that's necessary. I just feel like it's bigger than this.
I think that's a good point.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. I'm saying,
Yeah, because it can actually go in both places.
right. I feel like it could especially because it says here, ask your supervisor to increase so that you can. I mean, really, so that you can have a.
Oh, so it could be so that we can continue to or add to our ability to purchase books
to
about.
support we want to continue to support the needs of our community, like the intellectual needs, the resource needs, we want to ask our supervisors to increase the library budget so that you can continue to support your thriving community. You can continue to support the ongoing.
I guess I
Am I
want
making
to
sense?
I want to keep the talking points sort of specific so that when an individual looks at it, they'll see, yeah, that's something that I feel about. So I think like at the top is like the broad sort of philosophical, and then as we come down to get more specific. Here's where it really hits me. So I want to make sure we keep that.
But do we want to remind people of where it should hit them also?
Well,
Like,
I don't
I
know
don't wanna
because,
forget- I don't want people to forget, because upper middle class, mostly white people really do not need their libraries nearly as much as other people do. If you have the money to get your materials from Audible, you don't need, Audible costs money. Like, I've saved, I don't even know how much money by the fact that now I use Libby instead of Audible, right? Which I didn't even know about. I didn't know about Libby. And I was spending, I don't know how much on Audible every month. I don't have to do that anymore. It saves me like, a couple $100 a year, right? And I have a couple extra dollars a year. I mean, I actually have so much extra money at the year. I don't need to have Canopy and for my streaming services, or Libby for my audiobook services, or even like I bought the Fisk College thing. That's a big old resource book like this. I bought it when my daughter was applying to college because I could, right? So I'm just saying that really what I would love is if our advocates, I mean, I'm assuming this is the case with your advocates as well, but definitely my advocates fully understand that that's why I asked them to do this, that we as friends, we are friends, we all have the same credo and ethos regarding the role of the library in terms of building a thriving, educated community, right? So I'm just wondering whether we might repeat it in some sort of not over your head kind of way, but just remind people that they can actually say that. We can actually, those of us who can actually make this argument on behalf of people who do not speak to their supervisors and their elected officials, just to remind people in general, and remind the supervisors, in fact, of the purpose of the library in their community. I don't know. That's why I was saying perhaps here, because the larger ask of increasing the library's budget is that, the larger ask. And it is specific. That's my argument. I'm not going to die on this hill. I'm just saying that that's the reason that I would think that it might be worth repeating. Was that me? Did I say something? I thought I heard something. Sorry.
I think it was someone who just muted themselves.
Anyway, again, I am completely, I understand if you don't agree with me on that. I don't need to die on that hill, but that was the reason I was suggesting. I like the idea of telling.
well, I'm
couple of
thinking
times.
about it because I'm just not sure if it goes too broad of an ask for individuals.
Can we see if we
You
can,
know,
what if we try to state it in a way that is more concrete? So that you can,
uh-oh. Excuse me for a moment, there's a tree issue.
So Jaffa, for now, I'll just add in a
No,
line here
can
at the
you add
very
the
end.
brush that-
Okay.
That says we need to draft some kind of concrete statement that reaffirms the initial statement up here. So that
I
it's-
frankly believe, I really believe in my heart that that is the way to get the library fully funded. I think that I really believe that making that, that very frank, clear connection between the investment we put in our public resources and the economic return, the safety, et cetera, of our community, that those things are so easily articulated and hard to deny. So that when we make the plea and we couch it in a sort of a moral rectitude regarding supporting our community, it makes it much easier for us to argue that, all the rest of it, the 3 points on top, as well as it makes it harder for the supervisors to deny us because we've couched it in a certain moral rectitude. That's just how I feel about the way that advocacy tends to work. If we tie it all together, like I'll just tell you, if we were just to use that literacy push that was in the Washington Post the other that came with Washington, the way that They
I
were
have,
trying to
I have to I'm sorry, I have to interrupt, because the tree people, they don't know what they're doing yet. And,
no.
they did not schedule this, and, Jessica, can I
Yep.
leave you
Yep,
guys to
you're
go
good.
on?
Get on out.
And the only thing I want to, if I'm not back and we get to the friends, one of my ideas is that if we meet with the friends and we ask them how they would like to participate.
Okay.
And because they may not want to do this, they might want to do something else, but I just think that, I don't want us to be in the position of telling friends, here's something that we want you to do. I think, how would you, and maybe all friends groups won't. I'm thinking of friends groups who have lost members because they can no longer physically help with books. But
Mhm.
our friends group are very specifically focused on their branch. And so that okay, but I hope I'll be back soon. Sorry about the tree thing.
Go for it. We got you. So Jethro, like I mentioned, for now, I'll just put in here something and then we can
Okay,
firm it
Cool.
up a little bit later. I don't disagree that there could be something in here. So like, if we start off at the top and we say, hey, don't forget, this is the overarching why of
mhm,
the importance of this, that by the time we get down here and we're talking about the actual actionable pieces, that might not be top of mind for people anymore. So having it reaffirms down here, particularly if it's clear from the order of these 4 bullets that the top one has the immediate impact. You get books faster.
mhm,
And then if you have kids, they can do homework assignments better.
mhm.
And if you are an in-depth researcher, we'll have books that make sense within your realm. And
Mhm.
also, don't forget, it's good for everyone in the whole community to have a great library system as well.
I really just think that that is the ticket. I think that's the ticket. When you couch it in terms of reputational harm for not doing it, then it's harder to say no.
Yep.
you know?
Suzanne, are you okay with that kind of progression of the 4 bullets as well?
Yes, and I would like to comment on item number 3 up there. Could we say to ensure that materials and then, oh wait, no, it's not number 3. Can you scroll up?
Absolutely.
Oh, okay, hold on. No, it's down, sorry.
It's fine.
It's, which one? Or
Is
maybe
it
you
this?
took that
Find
out.
materials for homework assignments?
No, it was the one that, oh, it's the first one. Borrow ebooks and audiobooks when you want to read them.
Okay.
Could we say borrow materials and then put books, ebooks and e-audio books in parentheses? Because books isn't there. Borrow material, or okay. And leave out the weeks and just say, and not have to wait months. Because
How about months or more? That makes it seem even lengthier.
yeah. Because a 2 or 3 week wait isn't that big a deal. And usually, I mean, I think I was number 500 on the Louise Penny book. And I'd been watching for it to show up.
Yeah, the last one of these meetings we had, I pulled up my personal Libby account
Uh-huh.
and was looking at some of the holds that I was waiting for, because staff don't get anything different than anyone else.
Right.
And I think the longest one that I have right now will be available in 16 weeks, which, most of mine is pleasure reading. It's not reading because I need to do it for a homework assignment or for something that is going to drastically impact my life. But that's still a really long time. If I was waiting for that book and really wanted to read it, is 4 months a reasonable amount of time for someone to wait for something that they are already theoretically paying for with their tax dollars? Yeah.
And I guess the ebooks, they actually give you an estimate of how many weeks,
Mhm.
but books do not do that.
Correct. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
no
the
clue
vendor.
How many
vendors involved.
months 500 people ahead of you is, because you
Yes.
don't know how many copies are out there circulating.
Correct.
Okay,
Well, and the ebooks are much easier to assess that with, because
right,
they
I
automatically
understand.
return, and you also can't lose them or damage them
right.
or leave them on the beach when you're, reading.
You would
something
never
stuff.
do that.
Never. I would never do that.
Sorry.
Okay, so it sounds like we're good on the collection development side with some potential modifications to come. This meeting was slated to run until 11. I don't know if either of you have other meetings or things that you need to get to after
I
this.
do. I have
Okay.
to get off at 11.
Okay, then I recommend that we stop here so that Fran can participate in the second half of this. And we will wait for her to send out an email to confirm that the date will either be January 31st or February 1st in the afternoon.
Okay,
Okay,
Great.
thank you so much.
okay.
Sorry
Fran,
I was late
I'm
and
back. Trees are okay.
Sujata, we'll see you next time. You can hop off for your 11 o'clock thing. Fran, I was recommending that we actually wrap up this meeting. Sujata has to leave for another one.
Okay,
We only made it as far as continuing to discuss the collection development budget. So the next meeting, you could finalize the sample talking points on expanded and consistent hours and
Okay.
everything additional that's drafted for intellectual freedom.
okay. I wondered about how we're gonna implement all this, but I guess that's the next time. So we're still not gonna,
It's up to you. Sujata had to step out. If you want to wait until she and Parker can participate in the communication, I suggest waiting, but we can certainly start now if you'd like.
I, I'm fine with working on those, but, and I know Suzanne is gonna be meeting with friends this afternoon,
Oh, nice.
right? Are you gonna
Yeah,
Talk
talk
about
about,
dates.
are you gonna talk about this at all or some not really?
I wasn't really planning to,
Okay, okay, that's good.
but
And
I
then-
am gonna be sharing the Friends Forum information with them,
Great.
which
Okay.
I actually sent out the minutes this weekend. But yeah. No,
Okay,
and you know, it's a little different in the city because the city doesn't have supervisors to go to. So I'm still wrestling with the idea of how I'm gonna deal with my city people, who they're gonna advocate to. And that's why I'm looking at people who are friends with the Board of Supervisors.
Good call.
So,
Yeah, Fran, we may want to just allocate a longer meeting time next time so that we can finish up your talking points, discuss the friends aspect of things, and also an implementation process beyond the friends groups that we already have. So maybe we can plan for the next one to be a 90-minute meeting.
yeah, I think that's a good idea.
Okay.
Okay,
and I will mention to my friends group that this is coming.
well, I would say, maybe ask them, that we're talking about increasing our role of advocating, and is there a way that they feel they would like to participate?
And really, the Virginia Room friends kind of have a different aspect of what their goals are than the general Fairfax friends.
So you're meeting with the Virginia Room Friends or the
No,
Fairfax
today
Friends?
is the Virginia Room friends.
Oh, okay, oh,
But
that's
the
different.
Fairfax friends are sorting today, so, which I normally would be sorting. So. Jessica, do you have any idea yet when hours might increase? That's been a big question from our friends group, because the reduced hours have really messed up their ability to have a regular schedule to sort books.
I understand that.
And it's
So-
getting more frustrating. And one of the Tuesdays that we can sort is the staff meeting, so we have to switch to Monday, and it's driving people crazy.
I bet. So I don't have a firm date, and I can tell you that while our staffing situation is better, it is certainly not rectified. And there are some locations that are much, much worse off than others right now. So if I was a betting person, I would still say it's probably going to be early 2023. But I've also told staff that we're
This
not
is early 2023.
exactly
Okay,
like, not summer or fall.
okay,
Late. I have told staff, though, that we're going to guarantee that we're not going to do this on a dime, because they all, as you both know, we schedule between 4 and 6 weeks out. And I
Right.
wouldn't want to, email everyone tomorrow and say we're changing hours next week when
right.
they
Oh,
already
yeah.
have their schedules posted and they plan their lives around them. So when we do make a decision about going back to normal operating hours and we notify the trustees and the friends, it will be 4 to 6 weeks out from
Okay.
any date that is set. So the friends will get ample notification so that they can let their members know about the transition. I would certainly like us to be able to move back before, I don't know, spring break, but I'm trying to be
Whatever
very
that is.
considerate of staff needs on this one because there are some branches like Centerville and Dolly and Richard that are just much, much worse off with, particularly with their management teams.
Is the sound off, the saving off right now?
We haven't adjourned yet,
No,
really.
the meeting is still in place.
Oh, okay, okay.
Although Fran, if you would like to adjourn, we could certainly do that.
I have a question. Do I have the hours represented correctly in the did you know of what they approved funding for, or is
No.
that it's incorrect, isn't it?
Yes. So I will send I'm going to send you the version that we modified during the meeting today. And then I'll also send some recommended modifications to the expanded and consistent hours. talking about this.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
That's great.
Yeah.
Okay, now I think I can, we can adjourn. Suzanne, should we make you a member of this committee?
I would like to be,